I now hand the conference over to Mr. Sahil Vachani, Managing Director and CEO at Max Ventures and Industries. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on the Max Ventures and Industries Q3 FY21 earnings conference call. Along with me today, we have our CFO, Mr. Nitin Kansal, Mr. Rishi Raj, Chief Business Development Officer, Mr. Ramneek Jain, CEO of our packaging business, Max Specialty Films, Mr. Rohit Rajput, CEO of Max Asset Services, and Mr. Nitin Thakur, Director, Brand and Communication for the Max Group. We also have SGA, our Investor Relations Advisors, on the call. Thank you everyone again for joining the call, and I hope you and everyone around you is safe and in good health. Let me first give you the key highlights. I'm very pleased to report strong profitability for Max Ventures in Q3 FY21. Consolidated revenue increased by 10% year-on-year. Consolidated EBITDA increased by 50% year-on-year. PBT increased by 348% year-on-year, and PAT increased by 90% year-on-year. In our real estate business, Max Towers development is now 90% occupied after leasing 80,000 square feet to Cyril Amachan Mangal Das and 7,000 square feet to DBS Bank. Earlier, in quarter 3, we also leased 62,500 square feet to Yes Bank. Max Asset Services has launched its managed office spaces business with the launch of WorkWell Suites at a newly developed office complex, Max House in Okhla, Delhi. Max Asset Services will provide complete managed office solutions and serviced office space to prospective tenants. This is part of our objective of being a complete solution provider in the office space segment. As per industry estimates, office leasing will take about another year to return to 2016 to 2019 average. But demand will be front-ended by new age, contemporary, hygiene, and wellness-enabled offices by trusted brand names, such as Max. Our project development pipeline includes 700,000 square feet with a project called Max Square in partnership with the New York Life Insurance Company, and 105,000 square feet at Max House, Okhla Phase 2. We are hopeful that the resolution process of Delhi 1 will progress as well, allowing us to add 3 million square feet to the development pipeline. We are also actively prospecting new growth opportunities, including distressed deals in locations such as Gurgaon, and will partner with marquee commercial real estate funds. All this is targeted towards making us one of the top 3 commercial real estate developers in North India with a very strong balance sheet. At our packaging films business, Max Specialty Films posted its highest ever quarterly revenue and EBIT. Revenue grew by 11% to 2,818 million. Earnings before interest and tax increased by 81% year-on-year to 446 million. And EBIT margins expanded by 610 basis points year-on-year to 15.8%, primarily due to better specialty product mix, strong demand, consistent raw material prices, and cost optimization efforts. The consumer's preference for recyclable films is and will continue to be quite beneficial for Max Specialty Films. Gross debt in Max Specialty Films reduced by 740 million from 4,339 million in March 20 to 3,599 million as of December 20 on the back of strong free cash flow generation. Let me now give you a strategic overview of our businesses, which will be followed by detailed business updates by the respective business heads. Max Ventures witnessed strong recovery in the core business of commercial real estate and continued superior performance in our specialty packaging films business. In commercial real estate, we continue to add marquee tenants. In the packaging business, we continue to report strong results with the highest ever quarterly revenue and EBIT in Q3. We've been talking about the sustainability of our performance and are very happy to therefore report that we are strengthening our position in our verticals and moving in the right direction. As the lockdown restrictions were eased during Q3, corporate groups are actively assessing their office space requirements. We continue to see improved conversions from inquiries to actual leasing as witnessed in Max Towers. With Max Towers now being fully occupied almost, and with the strong inquiry pipeline for the remaining area, we believe it's a matter of time before this is 100% leased out. For us, Max Towers is not just another office project. It's an indication that our team has the capability to not only develop a grade A world-class development from a distressed project point of view, but also the capabilities to lease it to global, leading and domestic corporates in spite of the COVID disruption. The experience we have gained through this project is invaluable and has certainly readied us for all future challenges. Our focus now is on leasing Max House Okhla Phase 1. We're in continuous engagement with various prospective tenants for this project and have extremely positive feedback. We've also commenced work on our third commercial offering, Max Square, a grade A plus office project. Work is on track and is expected to be completed by Q4 FY23. We believe the ongoing consolidation in real estate will continue to favor quality grade A plus developers with proven execution, a strong balance sheet, and access to institutional capital. We at Max Ventures are committed and focused to grow our real estate footprint and establish ourselves as one of the top contenders in the grade A commercial real estate space in Delhi NCR. Our packaging films business, Max Specialty Films, continues to post robust performance on the back of improved demand sentiment, stable realization, better product mix, and cost optimization initiatives. Our focus on R&D in creating sustainable and recyclable films has led us to create a niche market for ourselves. With improved demand sentiment and focus on value-added specialty mix, we expect the strong performance at Max Specialty Films to continue. Overall, Max Ventures continues to have a very strong balance sheet with a comfortable net debt to equity of only 0.4 times. We continue to reduce debt at the packaging films business, while debt levels in real estate business is expected to be low, as we will look to partner with institutional investors as part of our asset-light growth strategy. With this, now let me hand over to my colleague Rishi for real estate business highlights. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahil. Let me take you through real estate business highlights. Sahil has rightly captured all the points in his opening speech as to why we feel commercial real estate has clearly shown signs of stabilization and will only grow from here going ahead. Let me go a little deeper here. The first commercial REIT IPO in India had been issued in pre-COVID days. However, the second one had been issued in the peak of the COVID crisis, while the third one recently concluded. It is evident from the successful issuances of the REITs during the pandemic that commercial real estate in India continues to be one of the preferred investment asset class for preserving and growing wealth by institutional investors. It also plays a role in unlocking value for developers, providing them with the liquidity and growth capital. More importantly, it reinforces that the work from office will be an integral part of the workplace ecosystem on a sustainable basis, including for IT/ITES companies who account for majority of the underlying rental portfolio of the three listed commercial real estate REITs in India. The future of commercial real estate is here to stay, is also demonstrated by the string of leasing transactions concluded recently in the industry. Most of the large corporate occupiers have a plan to retain and expand their office while integrating the work from home convenience to their existing and new employees. So it is fair to say that work from home will not have significant impact on leasing by corporate occupiers. The arguments favoring the work from home has also weakened as most of the offices have restarted and number of people going back to offices has been increasing on a month-to-month basis. Moreover, the cost savings are also not material enough and lack of human interactions can lead to drop in overall productivity levels as experienced by corporate occupiers in recent months. Now let me give you project-wise highlights starting from Max Towers. We have seen strong leasing momentum at Max Towers with new leases signed with reputed corporates. We have leased 80,000 square feet to Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas, one of the top legal firms of India, and approximately 7,300 square feet to DBS Bank. Earlier during Q3, we have also leased 62,500 square feet to Yes Bank. With these leases, Max Towers is now 90% occupied. Of the total net available space for leasing, which is approximately 5.3 lakh square feet at Max Tower, 4.7 lakh square feet is now leased. The area owned by Max Estates at Max Towers is now 94% occupied. That is, of approximately 3 lakh square feet owned by Max Estates, 2.8 lakh square feet is now occupied. With the strong inquiry pipeline, we are confident of completing rest of the leasing soon. We believe that its strategic location, world-class, and above all, a well-curated experience focusing on all aspects of occupiers' well-being, powered by our work well philosophy, have been the key drivers for occupiers to choose Max Towers, and this trend has accelerated post-COVID. Our second Grade A plus commercial project, Max House Phase 1, with a leasable area of 1.05 lakh square feet, is evincing strong interest for leasing from corporates in recent months. We are in continuous engagement with various tenants and are confident to attract reputed multinational corporates for Max House like we have it at Max Towers and at premium to the local micro market. Work on Max House Phase 2, a similar project to Phase 1, is expected to commence in H1 FY22. Work on our third commercial Grade A plus project, Max Square, has also commenced and is on track as per budgeted schedule. New York Life Insurance Company is our investment partner in this project. We have received all statutory, including building plan, environmental clearance, etc. in a record time of 5 months. Despite COVID-led lockdown, the project is well on track to be completed by Q4 of FY23. Starting H1 of FY22, we will commence active business development efforts to drive pre-leasing engagement with top corporate occupiers for Max Square. Coming to the distressed project Delhi 1, which we had bid for, is still under NCLT hearings. Our resolution plan is with NCLT for final approval, which got delayed due to the lockdown. Post-lockdown, the hearing has restarted. If the CIR favorably, this project will add approximately 3 million square feet of space to our portfolio, helping us in our journey to become one of the top commercial real estate developers in the Delhi NCR region. Post-COVID, the consolidation among real estate industry has only hastened. Developers who have skin in the game, well-capitalized balance sheet and access to capital will benefit. Those who have the expertise and the ability to upfront fund capex for the project will grab a larger share of the market. Max has a history of successful partnership with large investors, and we will leverage this network for co-developing future projects with institutional partners like we did for Max Square along with New York Life Insurance Company. Max, being a trusted brand with focus on Grade A plus office segment, strong balance sheet, proven execution, and with access to institutional equity capital, is well placed to make its mark in commercial real estate market in Delhi NCR region, and as Sahil stated in his opening remarks, become one of the top commercial real estate developers. Hence, besides the already announced new projects such as 7 lakh square feet of Max Square, approximately 1 lakh square feet of Max House Phase 2, we are also actively evaluating multiple distressed commercial real estate assets in Delhi NCR with positive bias for Gurugram. We are evaluating greenfield as well as brownfield opportunities. However, we shall always be careful enough that the project fits in our criteria and ensures good return on our capital employed. Now, let me hand over to Rohit Rajput.
Thank you, Rishi. Now let me give you brief highlights about Max Asset Services and Max Investments. Q3 FY21 has been an eventful quarter for Max Asset Services as we launched our managed office space business under the brand name Workwell Suites. Our first managed office space offering at Max House Okhla has a total leasable area of 14,000 square feet with a total seating capacity of 200 seats. It will cater to corporates with a team size between 20 to 100. The current footprint of Max Asset Services managed office stands at 34,000 square feet with top-tier clients like a US-based tech firm and a top engineering MNC. In addition, Max Asset Services provides the Workwell experience to 24,000 square feet of conventional office space clients, providing the best of wellness, technology, and hospitality in their office operations. Managed office space is gaining prominence due to the increasing acceptance of flexible office space by lessors. Workwell Suites are witnessing encouraging pre-inquiries from prospective customers, and we're in talks with several leading occupiers desirous of leasing managed office spaces. We continue to add new clients for our facility services while also expanding the gamut of services offered by us. As a result, our revenue from this business increased by 33% to rupees 27 million in Q3 FY21 as compared to rupees 20 million in Q3 FY20. We expect the business to be profitable as soon as it scales up. At MaxI, we currently hold investment in one company, Azure Hospitality, after a handsome exit we had in Nykaa. The restaurant chain operated by Azure Hospitality has witnessed a healthy recovery in business.
Rupees as compared to 329 million, up by 50% year on year. The consolidated profit before tax for quarter 3 FY21 stood at rupees 247 million as compared to rupees 71 million in quarter 3 FY20. That is more than 3x growth. The consolidated profit after tax for quarter 3 FY21 stood at rupees 127 million as compared to rupees 67 million in quarter 3 FY20, up by 90%. Let me now give you a brief segmental financial highlights. Our real estate business, that is Max Estates Limited, revenue stood at rupees 190 million in quarter 3 FY21. Of that, the lease rental income stood at rupees 50 million in quarter 3 FY21 as compared to rupees 42 million in the previous quarter, a quarter-on-quarter growth of 19%. Revenue for Max Asset Services for quarter 3 FY21 stood at rupees 27 million as compared to rupees 20 million in quarter 3 FY20, up by 33% year on year. Our packaging films vertical MSFL's revenue stood at rupees 2,818 million in quarter 3 FY21, up by 11% year on year and up by 6% sequentially quarter on quarter. Earning before interest and tax for the packaging business stood at rupees 446 million in quarter 3 FY21, up by 81% year on year and up by 11% quarter on quarter. The EBIT margins for packaging business expanded by 610 basis points year on year to 15.8%. Speaking about our liquidity position, gross debt in our real estate business, Max Estates, stood at rupees 1,240 million rupees as on December 20. Cash and liquid investments stood at rupees 843 million rupees. Hence, the net debt stood at rupees 396 million rupees. The gross debt in our packaging film business stood at rupees 3,599 million, and the net debt for the business stood at rupees 3,587 million. We reduced the gross debt in our packaging business by rupees 740 million as compared to March 20, and will continue to reduce it with a strong free cash flow generation. Further, our cost of borrowings for packaging business is about 7.6%, while for the real estate business is at about 9%. And now I'll hand over back to Indra. Hello?
So should we open the line for questions now?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who has a question may press star and 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Our first question is from the line of Atul Kothari from Progwell Securities. Please go ahead.
So thank you very much for the opportunity. I have 2 questions.
Sorry to interrupt. Mr. Kothari, there's a lot of disturbance coming in from your line, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So my questions are primarily on the packaging business. So in BOPP food business, what kind of volume growth can we expect in FY22?
Thank you. This is Ramneet. So in terms of the, your question is for the industry or your question is for...
I'm talking about on our company basis, As well as if you can also throw some light on the industry as to what kind of volume growth can we expect.
Well, in general, we're looking at about 10% industry demand growth, which is a healthy year-on-year growth, and recyclability is interestingly adding to it. As far as MSFL is concerned, over the next 1 to 2 years, we are looking at the consistent volume that we have today. As we said, that effort is more on to offer more value-added products other than the base film, and that is where the investment strategy has been also. So we see our volumes pretty much stagnant at this point of time. However, the share of the value-added portion will be increasing.
Okay. So what kind of share can we expect in FY22 from the current share? What kind of increase can we expect?
Sorry, increase in what?
Value-added specialty in our total packaging business.
Well, our effort, as we said, we are currently at around 54%. Our effort directionally is to get up to about, a very high percentage, around 70, 75. But I think over the year, we should try and aim to get to around 60.
Okay. So, secondly, in terms of margins, what impact could the increase in crude prices have on our operating margins?
Well, crude prices do have an indirect impact on us with regards to the form of polymer. In most cases, we have a fairly strong understanding and professional relationship with our customers, more of the organized customers, to pass on the raw material fluctuation to our customers. And so I think, well, where it would eventually go is anybody's guess, but for most cases it is we pass it on to our customers, whether it's up or down.
Okay. So overall, what could be the sustainable margins in packaging business?
Well, I can only tell you that if you look at the past 2 years, we have had a very strong performance, and then really the future also looking very encouraging. So it will be hard to put a number, but we see a strong growth coming up.
Okay. Also, are there any new capacities expected in the Indian BOPP industry? And if yes, what impact that could have on the realization front?
Well, it's an interesting question. So, as a matter of fact, yes, there is new capacity coming into the Indian industry, and it's a fairly well-known concept because it takes a long lead time for these products to come in. So, we see about 3 new lines coming in the current year. The market, with its growth, is fairly well positioned to absorb a large part of this capacity increase with the demand increase. And of the rest, I would say that as we are positioning ourselves over the past 2 years, and we have demonstrated that, the impact of market performance, market pricing in the commodity market is having much lesser impact on us because of the way our product mix is. And so we think we should be fairly okay.
And sir, are we having any plans to demerge our real estate and packaging business in future?
Pass it on to Sahil. Nitin.
Yeah, Varnik, if I may answer that. I think evaluation of various corporate actions is a continuous process for us, and at given point of time, there is no active discussion on the subject, but it's a dynamic world, and we keep on evolving various options to enhance the shareholder value.
And sir,
may I request you to return to the queue as there are several participants waiting for their turn?
Okay, sure.
Thank you. We'll take a next question from the line of Nandan Mariwala from Punctualist One Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my questions and congrats on the extra number. Regarding Delhi 1, we mentioned 3 million square feet. Is it what would be the split between commercial, retail, and residential? And would it be that there is some amount of inventory that has already been sold in that, or is it all 3 million is up for grab?
Yeah, this is Rishi. I'll answer that question. So approximately 3 million. In terms of sold versus unsold, roughly the mix is 50-50.
Okay.
And in terms of mix, around 70% would be commercial, and another 10% retail, and rest would be residential.
Sorry, how much would be retail? I didn't catch that.
15%.
15%. Okay. And just wanted to understand on Max Square, would we be earning any development or management fee going ahead?
Yes, we will. So Max Square has appointed Max Estates Limited as a development management partner.
Okay, I see. And we would be seeing that from next quarter onwards, or it would be after the building is complete?
So the revenue will start accruing as we start spending on the project. What we have entered the agreement is, it's a percentage on the project cost deployed over the project.
Okay, I see. And that would be even if, and for such similar projects, if we were to undertake with any other funds, we would have a similar sort of agreement there as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Arush Oberoi from Victor Delta Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. I have a couple of questions. So, sir, I like to understand how is the competitive landscape in Noida real estate?
Yeah. So let me answer that. If you look at what has happened in 2020 with respect to demand in NCR, Noida for the first time in the history of NCR has clocked more absorption than Gurgaon. Noida constituted around 47% of total absorption in NCR versus Gurgaon, which was around 45%. That's point number one. Point number two, the rise in prominence of Noida in NCR is sustainable, driven by few things. Number one, the infrastructure. Number two, progressive authority in Noida. And number three, the supply of quality grade A asset, which has been lacking in the past. Because of the combination of all of the three factors, as we have already evidenced it through Max Tower, the occupiers who were earlier focusing on Central and South Delhi as well as Gurgaon are looking to relocate as a part of their overall real estate strategy, including hub and spoke model. So from a demand perspective, clearly Noida is gaining significant traction and prominence. Now, to your question on competitive landscape, the other aspect would be supply. I think from a supply perspective, what continues to be a reality in Noida is a large part of the supply is still strata sold versus developer owned and developer managed. And that's where we as Max Estates, through our development, are very confident of grabbing much higher market share, especially post-COVID, when people are looking for are focusing a lot of attention on health, safety, sanitation, and overall experience for their employees. And that makes us significantly confident of the play in Noida.
That was helpful, sir. And second one is that what are your plans with Workwell Suites and what kind of revenue it can generate? Hello.
Hi, Arush, this is Rohit here. I think, with Workwell Suites, we've done our first project at 14,000 square feet in Max House, Okhla.
Mm-hmm.
Our future plans for this is to grow this business contiguous to market demand and rising customer preference for flexible, fully managed and highly amenitized office spaces. I don't think it would be prudent at this point of time for me to give you any revenue guidance for the future. But we expect to have industry or better than industry EBIT margins for this business.
That's great, sir. And what are your plans with your investment in Azure Hospitality?
Okay, Arush, with respect to our plan for Azure, we will look to monetize this investment at the right time. And we are currently witnessing a strong bounce back of the F&B sector, and this particular business has bounced back faster and better than the peer group. So we'll continue to evaluate when is the right time to monetize this investment.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. That's all from my side. We'll join back in the queue for follow-up questions.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Ankit Agarwal from Arc Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity and congrats on a good set of numbers. So, my first question is on your Delhi One project. So I heard that the NCLT approval was delayed because COVID as well. But are there any other factors leading to the delay?
No, there is no other factor leading to delay. The primary reason is delay in court hearing due to lockdown. The good news is the court hearings have restarted, and we are hopeful to see some progress on this front now.
Okay, so that's great. And sir, given now that the normalcy is coming back and people have started coming back to offices, so what's your outlook on the commercial real estate for the next 1 year?
Our outlook is positive. Let me just support that with some numbers from industry perspective and our play in that industry.
Yeah.
If you look at 2020, there has been consistent quarter-to-quarter recovery. Now, if you look at quarter 4 2020 in particular, and if you focus on NCR where we play, NCR saw a net absorption of almost 8.2 million square feet, and this was higher than average that we saw in 2016 to 18. Of course, 2019 was an outlier year.
Okay.
Our assessment is in calendar year 2021, the overall absorption in NCR will cross the average in 2016 to 18, and it will come back to 2019 level in calendar year 2022. Now, why we believe in these outlook, also as reported by credible estimates from the industry, for few reasons. Number one, significant recovery in economic growth, which we all believe is going to sustain as far as India is concerned. Number two, acceleration in trends related to outsourcing. If you look at the demand mix today, 70 to 75% is still explained by US and domestic Indian players. Europe still constitutes 10 to 12%. And there is already a trend where European companies are looking at India from an outsourcing perspective. Number three, if you look at GICs, out of top 500 GICs globally, global in-house centers, only 150 is at play in India. And finally, the work from home, while it will continue, will occupy at best 15 to 20% in the overall mix. And that will be more than offset in our assessment now through de-densification trend and rise in demand from several other sectors, including healthcare, pharmaceutical, e-commerce, OTT, manufacturing, which gives us a lot of confidence. Finally, coming to our play, and this we have seen with respect to Max House, given the focus on build to lease, grade A plus, by Workman experience, there is already flight towards quality with premium, and that gives us significant confidence to acquire much higher market share in the months and years to come.
Right. So that's a good outlook. And so given that there is upturn in the commercial real estate market, what is the project pipeline from the company's point of view?
Yeah, great question. Coming to the project pipeline, in addition to Max Square, which is already announced, 7 lakh square feet, there is phase 2 of Max House, which is again 1.05 lakh square feet, similar to phase 1. Third, which is in the pipeline, is 3 million square feet of Delhi 1. And as we speak, we are in active discussion, as we had already communicated earlier, that our preference is to enter Gurgaon. We are in active discussion on 3 or 4 projects, both combination of greenfield and value-added opportunities. What we have done during the COVID led to little bit of uncertainty and gap in the valuation with respect between buyers and sellers. With normalcy coming back, I think that gap is getting bridged, and we are very confident of closing 1 or 2 of these transactions in coming months.
Okay. So that sounds great, and we'll catch up in the next quarter as well, and best of luck for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Naitik Modi from OHM Portfolio. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. So 3 questions primarily. As of now, we seem to be concentrated more on the Noida within the Delhi NCR market. So just wanted to know, what are your plans on diversification, especially with Gurgaon, since you've been mentioning Gurgaon for quite some time now? That's number 1. Number 2, what is the capital allocation plans for the real estate business over the next 2 to 3 years? And with all 3 of our properties, Square, Tower, and Okhla, what could be the peak leasing revenues from these? Thanks.
Okay, I'll take the first one, and then we'll request Nitin for the second and the third question. You are absolutely right. Right now, our commercial office portfolio is more concentrated in Noida, which, as I explained, is clearly emerging as equivalent to Gurgaon in overall NCR scheme of things for all the reasons I mentioned earlier. Having said that, our plans to enter Gurgaon continues and remains pretty strong. As again explained, we are in discussions on 3 or 4 opportunities, combination of greenfield and value-added opportunities in Gurgaon. We are hopeful to close 1 or 2 transactions in coming months. Yes, the entry has gotten delayed a bit, but that was because of COVID, where we continue to underwrite any opportunities very on a realistic basis, and we don't want to take any decision, or we don't want to get tempted into taking any decision which will not be value creating for shareholders. So we are taking that into consideration as we are looking at Gurgaon opportunity. So Nitin, over to you for second and third question.
Thanks, Rishi. When we talk about capital allocation, if you see from the way our business has grown on the packaging film business, we are generating free cash flows which are good enough to fuel the expansion of the packaging film business without any support of equity coming from the shareholders in the packaging film business. So our deployment of capital going forward would be majorly into the real estate space only.
So how much that would be in terms of numbers?
So currently what we have already committed is a total capex of close to 400 crore rupees on Max Square project and another number of close to 100 crore rupees on Max House Okhla block phase 2 of the project. That's already committed. As Rishi mentioned, we are strongly evaluating opportunities to expand our footprint in other parts of Delhi NCR also. So as and when the opportunity comes, we will be allocating further capital to these businesses.
Okay, and what will be your peak leasing revenue?
So in terms of leasing revenue, there are 3 projects which we are looking at. Currently, we have got Max Stars. We expect a rental income to close to in the range of 35 to 40 crores coming from Max Stars. Another income of close to 15 to 18 crore rupees coming from the phase 1 of the Okhla project. And going forward, the project at Max Square is expected to be commissioned by Q4 FY23. The current prevailing rentals in that area, if I can just give you a benchmark, are more in the range of 70-75 rupees a square foot, resulting in a total lease rental of close to 65 crore rupees per annum beginning from FY24. So this is what we already have in our kitty, which is under execution, financially closed. And as we are looking for more projects, those will come and augment our revenues. For Delhi one, we are not giving any guidance as the matter is still sub judice. And as and when we get clearance from the courts, we would be able to give much more guidance on the revenue and capital allocation for the Delhi one project.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to our participants, if you wish to ask a question, you may enter star and 1. We'll take the next question from the line of Vasan Shukla, an investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. My name is Vasan Shukla. Actually, I have a question regarding Max Estate. So, as I understand, you have a usable area of 3 lakh square feet. So, out of that 3 lakh square feet, whatever I know that it is being leased out at close to 100 rupees per square feet. So that itself translates to close to around 18 crore rupees per, not 3, so it's close to 18 crore rupees per quarter, right? If it is created at 6 lakh area is considered, Max Towers area. So I'm slightly confused with the rental income of the Max Estate at close to 5 crores for this quarter. So if you can explain slightly on that side, that will be quite helpful.
Sure, Vasan. Let me try to explain that to you. Vasan, what is happening is the total area for which the income accrues to Max Estate is 3 lakh square feet, of which 2,80,000 square feet has been leased out till date. Now, as you would see in our releases, we have leased out close to 80,000 square feet to Shri Amachar Nangaldas as recent as in the fourth quarter of the current financial, and the leasing for Yes Bank happened in the in the previous quarter of the current financial. The revenues of them have not started to accrue as of now. So this revenue will start getting reflected from Q1 of FY22 when all the rentals will start coming to the books. And when you mentioned 18 crore rupees, so the number would be close to basis an average rental of 100 rupees. The number would be close to 36 crore rupees per annum, which we can expect to come from for Max Towers. Yeah.
Okay. So what about the basically you have around 5,70,000 square feet in Max Towers. So out of this 2,70,000 belongs to whom? So that is not very clear.
So in the previous financial year, we had sold off an area of close to 2,63,000 to institutional investors, and that area is also being leased out by them. So when we say in our press release that more than 90% of the building is leased, what we say is in the context of the overall tower. What we own is already 94% leased, and the tower as an overall is leased out close to 90%.
So Max Estate is currently holding only 3 lakh square feet.
Yes.
Okay, that's the question. And just one more question, if I can ask. So last quarter you had taken a loss on the Azure Hospitality investment, close to 26-27 crores, right?
Yes.
So what is the present value that is being allocated for that particular business in your books, that particular investment?
So currently we are carrying it at 45 crore rupees in our books.
Okay. So you think that after these IPOs of Vector Foods and other companies, basically Burger King, so do you think that will have certain upside to this particular business as well, or you might recoup that loss that you had taken last quarter?
Sure. I'll just give you context. This mark to market of which was taken in the previous quarter was done on the basis the valuation on which equity was raised during the peak of the COVID times. And that was, and at that point of time, the quantum of uncertainty was very high, and so the fundraise was done at a steep discount. Now, as we speak today, the business has already reached to the pre-COVID levels, and in fact, they have gone ahead and even started a delivery business, which is giving very good results to them. So, in our view, they would not only be able to recoup the impairment which we have already provided for, we might also see a return coming on our initial investment.
Okay. So close to 80 crores you had invested. 70 to 80 crores was the number that I had read. What exactly? How much? Sorry?
72 crores we had invested.
Right. So will Azure Hospitality will also come out with an IPO or something like that going forward, maybe 2-3 years down the line?
So this is a continuous process. As I mentioned, all corporates and organizations keep on looking ways to raise capital and enhance shareholders' value. Azure is also exploring various ways to make it come to the back to its glory days. So this might also be one of the options in coming years.
Okay. And Goldman Sachs still continues to be an investor there in Azure, or he's taken out his money? Would you be aware?
So they continue to be the investors in the company.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take a next question from the line of Zahara Sharif from FedWintech. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thanks for taking my questions. Just a couple of them. As you expand, what are the sort of debt equity levels that you're comfortable with in the real estate business? Because right now I know it's, virtually whatever not there, but as you expand, just if you could give us a sense of how you will, what's your thinking on that?
Sure. Thanks, Zareen. So what is happening in our mind, we have a very, very conservative outlook towards debt and equity. If you see even our current debt which we have in the real estate business, the major component comes from the lease rental discounting, which basically is a risk being taken by the bankers or the capital providers on the tenants of the building. So there's not much debt on the business as of now. Going forward, but having said that, when we do greenfield projects or brownfield projects, to do entire projects with equity tends to depress the returns on equity. To make a proper return on equity for the shareholders, our intent is to have an optimal debt equity ratio on the business. What we believe is we are comfortable having a debt equity ratio of 1:1. But depending upon how the project economics are, we might be slightly liberal on that number, going up to 60% of debt. In the current regime where the interest rates have gone down, I am happy to share that we being coming from a corporate background, have been fortunate enough to have financial closure for our project at Max Square. And at the same time, the cost of borrowing for our packaging film business has also gone down significantly from 9.8% to 7.6%.
Right. In fact, that was sort of leading up to my next question, which was that, what are the terms really of this debt, like in terms of tenure or repricing, like, if at all you could just share some.
You're talking about packaging film business, or you're talking about
packaging, and also just when you do the, for greenfield projects, when you will raise, what are like typically the debt-related terms that are in there, if you could share, that you think you will get?
Typically, the way we look at it, the projects are as a conservative stance. The initial cost of acquisition of the project is done by equity, which gives us a significant leverage with the bank. And the underlying asset, underlying real estate is offered as a collateral to the bankers. And typically what we think about is that's a long duration loan during the tenure of the project, 5 to 7 years, and the ultimate takeout of the debt is taken from the lease rental discounting of that project.
Okay, but when you sign in that time, it's not yet leased. So the interest rate that you would pay on a project while it's under construction versus what you would pay on LRD would be different, right?
Yes. So as it's till the time it carries the risk of a construction finance, that would be slightly expensive. But as and when the tenants start coming into it and we are able to convert that construction finance to a lease rental discounting, we get the rates which are much more competitive.
So just to help me understand, as of today, if you were doing a project, just to get a sense of what kind of rates you would get, like what is the rate you would get for construction finance today, and what is the rate you would get for LRD today?
So, very difficult for me to get
just like a very broad range. I know it's.
If we are doing a construction finance, we recently did a financial closure from IndusInd Bank for the Max Square project. Our rate was more in the range of 9% per annum. And when we do a lease rental discounting, our rate would be much more closer to 1 year MCLRs of the bank. So that would be more closer in the range of 7.5%.
That's very helpful. Thanks. And just
Ms. Sharif, may we request you to return to the queue? There are several participants waiting.
It's just in connection with the same interest thing. Yeah, it'll take him a minute to answer it, please, because he's not elaborated earlier. So, what is the tenure of the 7.6%? If you could just tell me that, like how is it linked?
That 7.6. That average maturity is remaining close to 5 years. Those debt which we have taken for packaging film business have long tail loans which we have taken from them.
So the rate would be fixed for the 5-year duration?
No. It's annual reset. It's linked to the MCLR of the bank, and we have an annual reset every year at the anniversary of the loan.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Naitik Modi from OHM Portfolio. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So, is there any clarity on the 60,000 square feet in Max Towers, which we are still not? We are unable to use.
So, just to answer that, there is absolute clarity on that number. There is no dilemma. In our building, we have developed number of amenities for the benefit of the tenants. So, to effectively get a better customer experience, that area is being used for the occupants of the building. So, there is no ambiguity or doubt surrounding that area.
If I can just add to what Nitin said, frankly, the suite of amenities in Max Towers, powered by WorkWell, that Max Asset Services brings in running the asset, is one of the key drivers for us to command 25-30% premium in that micro market. For that matter, the other buildings in the same campus, when I compare it with them.
Okay, so it continues to be unleased, right?
Yeah, so we are not going to lease it. As I said, it is being used as amenity space within the building.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Isha Savla from Arya Securities. Please go ahead. Ms. Savla, you may go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, sir. I would be inquiring that what would the mental level down in by when we expect to sell the balance?
not clear.
Ms. Savla, can you just remove the earphones and speak?
Are you audible now?
Not clearly audible, ma'am.
Hello? Yeah, my question is what is the inventory level at Dehradun and by when do we expect to sell the balance?
Yeah, on Dehradun 222 Rajpur, out of 22 units, we have already sold 17 of them. Of that 17, 4 was sold in this financial year to date. There is a significant surge in demand for luxury residential real estate, and that is also translating into a spike in the enquiries for Dehradun. We are very, very optimistic with this trend continuing. The balance 4 units we should be able to sell in next 6 months to 8 months.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Due to time constraints, we'll be taking a last question. That's from the line of Jigar Shroff from Financial Research. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. I had 3 questions. One is, sir, the peak leasing revenue you mentioned 35 to 40 crores from Max Towers and Max House. You said phase 1 would be 15 to 18. So phase 2 would also be a similar equivalent amount, I guess, because the same area. That is my first question.
It would be slightly higher than that because phase 2 construction will start in H1 of FY22 and it will take another 18 months to complete. So what we expect is by the time phase 2 is up, we would have seen appreciation in the rentals for that area.
So should we take it in the ballpark figure 20 to 25 crores?
It's slightly difficult. We don't give forward guidances, but in a typical contract,
you just gave right that 65 crores for Max Square also, so that comes to.
So that was the ballpark numbers. And even in the case of what I can give you broadly indicative of phase 2 is that all our lease rentals have an escalation of 15% every 3 years. So what we expect is even in phase 2, we expect to have a similar kind of rate at least.
I see. My second question was regarding the packaging division. What is the capex guidance, if you have any, for FY22-23?
So Jigar, to answer that, we have recently ordered 2 metallizer lines, as we call them Metallizer 5 and Metallizer 6, each having a capex of close to 30 crore rupees each. Currently, there are various capex proposals which might be under discussion with the board. In due course, as in when they're cleared by the board, we might be able to give further guidance on that.
So 60 crores is the confirmed?
60 crores is confirmed, yes.
And when would these 2 lines be set up by?
So the first line is expected to be online in the current quarter, and the second line is expected in H1 of FY. Ramik, if I'm right, in H1 of FY22.
Actually H2. So yeah, just about. So we're expecting it in October.
October current year.
Okay. Correct. October 21. Yeah.
Okay. And how can we look at the peak revenues of the packaging division? I believe 9 months we've done about 800 crores, right? So once both these lines are operational and once the proportion of specialty films increase, what kind of revenue on an annualized basis? Can we look at something like around 1,500 crores or so for FY23? Any guidance to that?
Jigar, what is happening is we would not be able to give guidance on FY23 numbers.
Okay, but any ballpark figure? I mean, once both are these.
That's very difficult to give. In the context of packaging film business, the revenues are also much linked to the prices of crude. So in case there's a movement in abnormal movement in crude prices in either direction, it will have an impact of revenue in terms of top line. But in terms of margins, the numbers remain. There's much more stability regarding margins.
And also it will be a factor of, the proportion of specialty, yes, the value-added segment once that increases.
Yes.
Okay. And my final question would be on broadly at the company level. What is it going to do to enhance shareholder value? Because our company, because it's there are various segments. Primarily the real estate and the packaging And what is it going to take to, enhance shareholder value for shareholder value accretion? So that was my concern. And what steps does the management envisage?
So, Jigar, if you see the way we look at shareholder value enhancement, there are two parts. One is from a market lens and what we are doing internally to make the company grow. If you see in last couple of years, what we have been able to do, Max Specialty Films has becoming a very swift running engine in terms of generating revenues. Whatever we had planned in terms of taking the business to the next level, in terms of putting a capex, having a state-of-the-art manufacturing line over there, focusing on research and development had started to play out in the numbers of Max Specialty Films. In terms of the real estate business, we had taken off this project Max Towers in difficult times, where the project was hard to complete and had a lot of regulatory challenges. We have been able to complete and get over all those regulatory challenges and also been able to lease out the building in a time when there was a significant COVID risk. And at the same time, we have been able to get our next project going. And the third one, we have been able to get an institutional partner like New York Life to partner with us in our new project at Max Square, in which they have taken a 49% equity. So in terms of the way we are positioning, all these activities are going in active direction to increase the shareholders' wealth. I think
but the fact is the markets aren't appreciating all these measures that you have taken. So it could be because, there's no there is focus at each division level, but at the sum of the part levels, the market isn't appreciating it, right?
So market has a mind of its own. It keeps on growing. And I think sooner than later, the market will also start recognizing the efforts being done in that direction.
But can we expect, say, in the next 1 or 2 years, the company to be split? To give a proper focus to each division and to give more...
Jigar, at current juncture also, there is complete focus on entire divisions.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure. I don't doubt that.
What is happening, we have a separate teams which are handling all the businesses. Mr. Ramneek Jain has a complete set of teams, the senior leadership team which is leading the packaging film business and sufficient. Similarly, we have a separate team which is focusing on the real estate business and a separate team led by Rohit.
I don't doubt the focus and measures that are being taken in terms of value enhancement. But as you see, various other companies like Jubilant Pharma, also other companies, they split up the pharma division and the life science division to unlock value, because that the market gives better valuations to such companies where there is, here packaging and real estate, both are doing very well. And I'm not undermining the management efforts also that are being taken. But in terms of, the market valuation is when there are separate listed entities, right? So when should we expect that to happen?
So Jigar, I think we're very conscious of the fact that all the efforts need to be translated in the enhancement of shareholder value. We are taking various efforts and which will come out in public domain in due course. But your observations well noted and we will take note of that.
But you will appreciate at this level the stock is highly, highly undervalued, right? But that speaks for itself. Sorry?
Point noted, Jigar. We'll make note of that.
Okay, I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
And all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I would now like to hand the floor back to Mr. Nitin Kansal for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Indra. I hope we have been able to answer most of your queries. We look forward to your participation in the next quarter. For any further queries, you may get in touch with SGA Partners, our investment relationship advisors. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, members of the management. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Max Ventures and Industries Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.